episode of Conscious Straight Talk with Katie and Lindsey.
Hi, my name is Katie Hutchinson. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I'm also a certified mediator.
And I'm Lindsey, the mama behind MalibuMamaLoves.com, and I'm also a conscious trauma-informed life coach.
Yes.
Before we get started today, I want to say a big thank you to Katie,
me.
because you are sharing a very hard story right now. I don't know if you joined us on Valentine's Day. I hope you did. If not, go check that video out too, because we started cheating, and Katie has been very bravely sharing her story with us, because unfortunately it's something that affects,
Oh my God.
I think it's like 1 in 4 people get cheated on.
It's probably
at this
more
day
than
and
that.
age.
Nobody wants to talk about her.
Yeah, when I looked at it, and it's such a sensitive thing, but
It's a sensitive subject.
as we've been doing Conscious Straight Talk, we've been opening up and talking about really hard to talk about things. I know we had Mariana on here talking about her eating disorder, and I'm really honored that you've chosen to come and share your experience, because it is a little extreme. It probably was really painful, and I love that you have changed your mindset and you look at it with humor now.
I look at it with humor.
I mean, it took years. It doesn't happen right away when you're in that situation.
Well, you go in modes. Like, you start to laugh, and then you cry, and then you laugh, cry, and cry a lot more, and then eventually you start laughing a little more.
So let me set the scene for you guys. We left off on Valentine's Day.
No. Oh, yeah,
On Valentine's Day. We were in the bushes. We were in a white negligee. It was
fall,
foggy and crappy out.
November 6th.
Probably chilly,
It
right?
was cold. I think I didn't feel anything.
You were very suspicious of your husband, so he had gone out for a walk with his phone.
And the dog.
And the dog, which was not normal.
No, well, he had started walking the dog, but he was not a dog walker.
Right. And so you hid in the bushes to kind of hear who he was talking to. You overheard him talking to a woman and saying, "I'm looking forward to seeing you this weekend. I love you," something like that.
Can't wait to see you in New York. I love you. And I heard the girl say, "I love you too. Can't wait to see you on the other end."
And that in itself is like heart-stopping.
It's heart-stopping.
Heart-stopping when you hear that.
It is cardiac
Especially
arrest.
because I know so many of us, and I've been cheated on as well. We've gone through this process. We don't want to believe that, and that's why they get away with it for so long. We choose to look in the other direction, but that moment when it happens, when you cannot pretend anymore,
I kept pretending, just so you know.
It's
I mean,
hard.
after I kept pretending, I had to have a private investigator go and show me a picture.
Yeah.
And it's not that I didn't know. It's just that I was in complete denial and whatever.
Okay,
else.
so this is the night that it all
So
came
this is
out.
the
So
night that
you jump up, you tell him he's a cheater.
I said,
you
"You're
run
an
in the house.
effing cheater." I go inside the house. He follows me, and he goes about 30 feet in front of me, in front of the fireplace. And I'm standing there, and he's got beads of sweat just dripping down his face, and then stain pits, sweat pits.
Yeah, sweat pits.
Sweat pits. And I said, "Give me the effing phone." And he said, "No." And I said, "Give me the effing phone." He said, "No." So I came at him. Mind you, I'm 5'3". Okay, not even really 5'3", almost 5'3", and he's 6'3". So I come towards him and I reached behind him trying to get the phone. That's all I had. That's all I cared about was the phone, because I was like, "Oh, this is in my mind. I'm crazy. Like, I wasn't really hearing this. Blah blah blah. I just have to see the phone to see who he talked to." So as I get really close and I'm trying to grab for the phone, he pushes me and I go flying back. Mind you, it's like a Chihuahua fighting a Mastiff, okay?
Yeah.
So I go flying back. I kind of fell, but because I had been a martial artist, which is something that's very important to say, I've been a martial artist. I was going for my black belt, and then I found out that I was pregnant with my first child. In addition, let me just go back to the tennis. This is important. I was about to play a very important tennis match the next day, which determined if I was going to go to sectionals or not, which is like the regional, like where you go and you play Orange County and Riverside and Bakersfield and all the best of the best. So it was a very, very important day for me the following day. Okay. So he pushes me. I go reeling back. I kind of do a slap out because of my martial arts skills. I get up. I walk back towards him because I want the phone. He slaps me. I slap him back. Mind you, I'm having to get up on my tiptoes to get his face. Then he slaps me again, and my son walks out, and I slapped him back. later I asked my son, I said, honey, what did I do? Like, was I upset that he slapped me? And he goes, no, Mom, you didn't even seem to notice.
Well, I think that's your sympathetic nervous system, right? Had really kicked in there, and your fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, and you fought.
I was a fighter.
You went and fought.
I was a fighter.
And it didn't work out that great.
I was a big red ant. No, it did not work out well for me.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I then go upstairs. Am I wielding a knife? No. Do I have a gun? No, we don't even own one. I don't like guns. Okay, so I head up the stairs, and all I'm thinking is I want him out of my house. Okay, well, it's both our houses, but still. So I want him out of my house. At this point, it's my house in my mind. So I go up, and I start grabbing all his suits, and I start going over to the staircase, and I'm throwing all his suits down, and I go, get out of my effing house. Get out of my house. Get out of my house. And he's like, you're crazy. You're crazy. I couldn't even answer because the cortisol, the adrenaline was going on, and I was just in it, man. I just wanted to get rid of those clothes and get rid of him. So,
but that is a huge significant that you had a lot of healing to do inside. And that's something that we talk about because in those moments, right, we should learn how to be able to take the breaths to trigger our parasympathetic nervous system and bring down that sympathetic. But we can't until we're healed, and we weren't healed at that point in time.
I didn't even know what was going on. I was so out of it. So,
very traumatic.
Yes. So my son, my 10-year-old, and he start coming up the stairs, and I can hear him say to my son, call the police. Call the police. And that just kind of went in through one ear and out the other. I still couldn't register that. But looking back, I remember, and then it makes sense later. And so he comes behind me because I'm still pulling down his shirts and clothes and whatever else. And he's like, Katie, Katie, Katie. And I finally turned around and he slapped me. And so I slapped him back. And then he pushed me, and we had a big hardwood bed, and I went flying back first into the bed, and then fell. Once again, I slapped out. So I did kind of a nice little fall, and then I hoisted myself back up. And then I turned around, I started pulling down his clothes again. Didn't even realize that I'd fallen and hit my head or whatever had gone on. And he starts going, Katie, 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 you're psycho, Katie. And finally, I turned around, and he grabbed me around the neck with both hands, but honestly, with one of his hands, he probably could have just held me with one of his hands, grabbed me around the neck with both hands, and started choking me, and he lifted me up off the ground. And at that point, I had an out-of-body experience. It's not that I don't believe in out-of-body experiences. It's just that I'd never experienced one like this.
Yeah.
So my spirit or my brain or whatever happened went up here above my head, and I remember looking down on myself going, Katie, this is not working out so well for you. This is not what I planned. Right now I feel like I could die. Yes, I can't breathe, and there's a chance I'm going to die right here, and this is not as I'd planned. This is just not happening. He then drops me, and he leaves, and I yelled to my son, lock the door, lock the door! So my son locks the door, and I'm just crying on the bed going, your dad is cheating on me. He's a cheater. He's a cheater. He's a terrible person. He's a cheater. Not really the thing that you should be telling your 10-year-old, but at this point...
Well, you're in shock at this point. I don't really think that you're overly aware.
Wasn't
of
aware.
Your abilities. This is what we talk about a lot, right? With the sympathetic nervous system. It takes over. You don't know what
My
you're
crocodile brain was just in crocodile mode.
Yeah.
So, and he'd already seen anything anyhow. So anyways, all of a sudden I hear this knocking on the door, maybe 10 minutes later, I don't know, this banging on the door. And I was like, oh my gosh, the police. I think the police are here. So I head downstairs with my son. They tell my son to go into some other room. They break up my ex-husband, my husband at the time, and myself. And this nice police officer starts asking me questions like, did he hit you? No, I said.
And so this, again, is where that sympathetic and that need to protect your family, that fear of, okay, we had a small degree of change tonight because I just found this out, but now you're going to take it to the next level.
Yes.
This is making it really real.
Yes.
And it's scary. And I know when I was in a situation, mine wasn't about cheating, but when I was in that situation, I was too scared to call the police. You know, and you want to still protect that person. As women
Except for he had called the police on me.
Right.
But I still wanted to protect him and not... I thought he's 6'3", I'm 5'3", he's a man, I'm a girl. They're going to send him to jail. I don't know anything about the judicial system, but I just want them to leave so we can carry on with our merry way about discussing the fact that he's a cheater. So he kept saying, like, did he hit you? Nope. He's like, did you do something? I go, oh, yes, I slapped him. I punched him. I this, I that. I go, he's a cheater. And he kept saying, are you sure? Blah, blah, blah. And I kept saying, nope, I'm sure. Well, in the other room, yes, in the other room, but there was no me picking up on the fact that he was trying to help me. Yeah. In the other room, he was like, she was almost a black belt in karate, and look at the bruises, and she attacked me, and I never touched her, and blah, blah, blah. Come to find this out later. So the last police officer that walks in happens to be a family friend. Now, at this point, I'm a little bit triggered, a little embarrassed by the whole situation. At this point, I start to cry finally. And I said, I just want to talk to that person, the person I know. I just want to talk to that person alone. Yeah. So I go, let's go upstairs in my bedroom. So we go upstairs. This person keeps trying to ask me questions. Are you sure he didn't hit you? Are you sure he didn't slap you? Are you sure he didn't punch you? Are you sure he didn't push you? Nope. Only me. He's a cheater. You know, everybody just needs to go away. And then he goes, Katie. And I go, what? He's like, ever since the O.J. Simpson case, you do realize that we have to take one person in. I go, what do you mean one person? He's like, either the husband or the wife. We have to take one person in. I go, into where? He's like, into jail. And I go, wait. I said, is this candid camera? Am I on candid camera? Like, is this really happening? He's like, no, you're not on candid camera. And yes, this is really happening. I go, are you telling me that I have to go to jail? He's like, yes. I go, so let me just get this clear one more time. I have to go to jail. He goes, yes. I go, okay.
So you found out hubby was cheating. Mm-hmm. You had a big stressful match the next day. Mm-hmm. You lied to cover
Tennis
hubby.
Match.
And
Mm-hmm.
guess what happened? What happened?
So I said, fine. I didn't break down crying. I said, can you just leave me alone? I need to get dressed. So I put on my warm, juicy sweats, my high Ugg boots, and I said, fine, I'm ready to go. They shackled me up. Okay, not shackled. What is it called? They put handcuffs on me. They got me into the car, and then the night proceeded. And
we're going to do a separate episode on that because
life
that is
in
just
jail.
a crazy, like what happens when you get arrested, when you find out your significant other is cheating.
Mm-hmm. Life in jail, on the way to the jail, making friends with the inmates.
So
you know,
you were there for what, 15 hours before you could get out?
15 hours of HELL.
Yeah, and so then you get home, you get out of there.
I get out of there, but that's
the charges
a whole nother.
Pressed?
Oh, I had to fight. I had a criminal attorney. I had to fight for a year, but I knew they'd get dropped. They were all dropped and cleared.
Okay.
Yeah. But we'll go.
And did he file for divorce? Did you file for divorce?
Oh, I never filed. No, I would have forgiven him. I tried to work it out. No. As soon as I found out and had a private investigator and saw pictures of him with the girl, he then filed for divorce. But we can get into that the next time, because life in jail, it's a whole nother, environment into itself.
But it's such a crazy, extreme story, and I know a lot of us go through similar things. And when you find out news like that, unless you're fully prepared, which is very rare, you do go from 0 to 60. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, had you stayed in that mode and not protected him and told the truth, it would have been a whole different story. They wouldn't have questioned you once.
No.
They would have taken him
immediately. He would have gone to jail. And my
Mm-hmm.
whole life for the next 5, 6, it's still going on, would have changed if I had not protected him and lied.
Yep.
So
simpler situation, just not the cheating, but it's as women, it's how we just are such protectors. We're such nurturers.
We're wired to protect our family.
And that's the father of our children.
And I'm the
most, a lot of times.
I'm one of the most loyal people that I know. And so I just went into protection mode. Yeah.
So cheating is a tough thing. If you guys have been cheated on, reach out. We're here. You are not alone. And that's why we're taking this time to actually call attention to it and say, hey, it does happen.
It does happen.
It's out there. It can happen to anybody.
Happens all the time. This is somebody that I said to myself would never, ever cheat on me. Like, just couldn't believe it. You know what I mean?
You don't. And I feel like with the dating scene here in LA, it's so easy to cheat.
Oh, yeah. I told you about the website. I still haven't found the name.
There's so many of them, though. Most of them, I know on a lot of them, there's a lot of sites where it's like, oh, I'm in a relationship, but I'm just looking to have some fun.
Well, this one
and
was
people
famous.
do this all the time.
It was just a girl that went shh on the commercial.
And there's a lot of people here with the open marriages, but then there's the people
but
who
at least
aren't.
they're consenting to that.
But that's what I'm saying, then there's the people who aren't, and they get hurt.
Right.
A lot of people get hurt from it because there's too much secrecy and not enough honesty. I feel like in this, well, everywhere in this dating, you know,
we need transparency. We need communication.
A lot more communication.
And you know what? One thing is, I would have died to have two people like us. I would have died to pull something up like this online
and have a community. We're
and
here.
have and see that somebody else.
We're
has
being
gone through
open
this.
and honest and transparent. Like this stuff happens, and it blindsides you.
And you feel so alone.
You do.
Feel so
and
alone.
I think a lot of people internalize that and say, God, there's really something wrong with me, which makes you even more scared to reach out and talk to people.
You feel
Like,
like
why
a
would this
loser.
person that I love so much do this to
like
me?
a loser. Like you're embarrassed. I kept my wedding ring on for like the next year. I just couldn't deal with it. Didn't want people to ask me questions.
Yeah, it's hard. So, all right, you guys.
Happy Hot Day!
Yeah, with that,
Happy Wednesday! And we'll talk